Open the meeting. 6:03. There is not a quorum available, so I'd ask that we recess for 5 for one that becomes available. I get it. To order. Have a reading of the statement, please.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public and the press on January 14th and July 29th, 2022. Posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building with the Open Public Meetings Act, JSA 10:4-7.
May we have a roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri,
Here.
Councilmember Lynch, Councilmember Sparta, Councilmember Tadrick.
Here.
Council President Rizzuto.
Here. This evening, we wanted to have this executive session to review some correspondence that had been brought to us by the mayor. And based upon that correspondence, may we call the meeting to order? Will the clerk please read the meeting statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 14th and July 29th, 2022. And was posted at the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and JSA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Vice President Bucieri. Here. Councilmember Lynch.
Here.
Councilmember Sparta. Councilmember Tadrick.
Here.
Council President Rizzuto.
Here. Will you please join with me and salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please accept my apologies for a late start. I want to thank you for your patience. We had some business needed to be attended to, and I wanted to get it completed. Bills list. Are there questions on the bills list?
Yeah, I have some. Council pretty much. We're voting yes, no on bills list, so these bills have already been paid.
Oh, you're not voting yes, no.
We don't even vote, we just
We don't
review.
vote it, we just review them,
Yeah,
but they're already paid when we get them, right?
I believe so.
correct, yes. Yeah, due to the dates.
Isn't there any way that we can get one, more information about each one? And two, before we pay it, get it approved?
I'd approve the bills in this form of government.
Does not,
Does not,
so
does not.
we don't care what's on here,
The
basically.
budget, you have a role in the budget process. Once that budget is approved, the bills are properly, the debt is properly incurred by the municipality, you have to pay the bill. There's
So
no litigation
there's-
about it.
I mean, I'd like to see at least what line item they're going against, if that's possible. Can we ask for that, or we can't ask for that either?
I think we've talked about that before. It's a little more definition in the description.
So if any council member has any questions about specific line items, I can get you that specific information.
Well, the first one that pops in my head is Abate Fence LLC 5150. Says something road,
Did you,
22 Tech 01177 road. That's it.
so what I can do is we can request from the departments for a little bit more description. That's just a general description that she put in there because it was being charged to the road department. The DPW has a lot of purchase orders, so, and a lot of different departments that's handled by that one large department.
Sure.
So I know the secretary over there, the clerk over there tends to put in the description of what department it's going to be charged to, so that when the bills come in, she knows what purchase order it needs to get.
Yeah.
Grouped with.
So in this form of government, that's the best we can do.
That is all you get to do.
And maybe just to give a little, since little new and maybe a refresher for all the council members. Our purchasing system, so there's 4 approval levels. So it's input by a department, and then it's approved by the department head. It's approved by the administrator or the mayor. It's approved by our qualified purchasing agent who has a certification that's finally approved by me and then made into a purchase order. So that is our process before things are even purchased. So people are not allowed to go out and just buy something and then they submit it with a bill and we just pay it.
So how do we validate what was purchased?
So
What's that process?
So basically what happens when they get a purchase order, they're allowed to purchase something. For example, I always use office supplies because that's easy. So people can then purchase their office supplies. They get the office supplies in. They'll get their invoice or like a remittance slip, and then the invoice comes in. They have to print out the purchase order. The department head has to sign off stating that this invoice matches what's on our purchase order, that the invoice is correct and we've received all the goods and services. It's then sent out to the vendor for signature, and they're required to sign a declaration that the invoice also matches their concurring that all the prices and the cost is correct. They have to send it back to the finance department, we have to review it. I have to sign off on it before checks are remitted. And then the checks are signed off by the mayor.
And just to further clarify the point, there was litigation between Sally Rinker and former Mayor Murata. And the challenge was that the council was not approving the bills before they were paid. The court Judge Bosnellis ultimately ruled in a written decision that in this form of government, the council does not approve the bills.
Okay.
And I'll send you a copy of the decision.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. Are there any other questions on the bills list?
I have none.
Okay.
No. Okay. Mayor's comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Council President. You know, in every municipality and every county and state and federal government body, there are issues on which these bodies agree and there are issues on which these bodies disagree. However, it's those times when these bodies disagree, they get the overwhelming portion of attention and publicity. And it is for this reason that on tonight, I use a portion of my mayor's comments to highlight 2 recent important issues on which the council and the office of the mayor came together for the benefit of our town. The first is the well-earned positive reputation of our municipal court. At our October the 13th council meeting, I announced that our municipal judge, the Honorable James Devine, had provided me his letter of resignation effective at the end of this year. Judge Devine will be resigning and moving on to a well-deserved retirement 1 year before his latest 3-year terms end. I requested that the council approve my appointment of a new judge to serve Vernon for the 1-year period of Judge Devine's unexpected term. And I actually thank the council for approving my request. As to why I asked the council's approval of this appointment at that time, rather than at the normal time, that being the January municipal government reorganization meeting, I took this action at the strong recommendation of retiring Judge Devine. Judge Devine explained to me that in addition to the efficiency of the 2 outstanding Vernon Township municipal employees who manage the day-to-day operations of our municipal court, those being Court Administrator Ms. Lindsay Palmasanto and Deputy Court Administrator Ms. Rachel Nessel. In addition to their efficiency, the appropriate planning for the availability of our municipal judge has been a key factor in the Vernon Township's court's well-earned reputation for timely adjudicating cases. He added that if the new judge knows that he or she will be serving Vernon effective January 1, 2023, it would, number one, significantly facilitate the continuation of this good and wise planning process. Number two, ensure that we do not tarnish Vernon's court's well-earned reputation for the timely adjudication of cases. And number three, also ensure that we don't deny individuals of their Sixth Amendment right to a speedy trial. The council approved my nomination of the Honorable James P. Sloan to be Vernon Municipal Judge for the period January 1 to December the 31st, 2023. That is for the unexpired term of Judge Devine. Judge Devine currently serves as the Vernon Township substitute judge that serves out court when Judge Devine is not available. And as a result of his past seamless and high-quality service, he comes highly recommended by Judge Devine. Judge Sloan's service as Vernon Township's substitute judge has also enabled him to become familiar with Vernon's court staff and to develop a professional and friendly relationship with them. In addition to currently serving as the municipal court judge for the combined Newton and Green Township Court, plus the Hamburg Court, Judge Sloan is also an accomplished criminal trial attorney for over 30 years of experience and expertise in Superior Court criminal defense matters, juvenile delinquency matters, domestic violence cases, municipal court appeals, and municipal court defense and prosecution of criminal and motor vehicle charges. His ability to communicate in Spanish will also be an asset to a municipal court. It will prevent us from actually having to hire a translator. I again thank the council for their approval of Judge Sloan's nomination. This is important. Okay. The second important issue of which the council and the office of the mayor came together on for the benefit of the town is an agreement that will serve our town's taxpayers some valuable tax dollars. I thank the council for its approval for me to execute a shared service agreement between the Township of Vernon and the Township School District. This shared service agreement will enable our school district to directly source all of the gasoline and diesel fuel that they need for their vehicles from the municipality's new state-of-the-art fueling station. In addition to providing school district vehicles 24/7 access to needed fuel, this arrangement will result in our school district being able to significantly save on the cost of fuel. This is important because while state legislation requires that municipalities and school districts have completely separate governing bodies, the municipality of Vernon and the Vernon School District realize that we serve the same constituents, that being the Vernon taxpayers. I take this opportunity to thank Council Vice President, Ms. Natalie Bucheri, who represented the council, and Board of Education President, Mrs. Kelly Mitchell, who represented the Vernon School District, for their close work and efforts with the Office of the Mayor that resulted in this shared service agreement. This is actually an example of the town council, the Board of Education, and the Office of the Mayor working together to move Vernon forward. I take this opportunity to also share the fact that one of the things which I'm very proud of is the way in which the Office of the Mayor has worked close with our Mayor's Wellness Campaign team to reach out and serve all segments of the Vernon family. Vernon's Mayor's Wellness Campaign team is headed by our Director of Recreation and Community Affairs, Mrs. Michelle Downtain, with the very capable assistant and ever-present support of her assistant, Mrs. Meg Warnon, excuse me. The Mayor's Wellness Campaign team and I have committed ourselves to ensuring that Vernon does not leave any member of the Vernon family behind. And this year, we are launching a new program during this holiday season to reach out and meet the needs of our Vernon family members who process sensory information in a different manner than their neurotypical peers. Specifically, this year, just before the larger, louder, and activity-filled 6 p.m. lighting municipal holiday tree on the lawn of the Vernon Fire Department building, we will join with the PAL and the Vernon Board of Recreation to host a 5 p.m. sensory-friendly quiet time with Santa in the municipal center. This will be a special time specifically designed for children with special needs. This is in response to the many mothers and fathers who have told us that they have children who find the larger, the louder, and activity-filled municipal holiday tree lighting event a little too much for them to take. The hosting of this sensory-friendly quiet time with Santa is consistent with my belief that sometimes what people need is not some brilliant mind that speaks, but an understanding heart that listens. This is part of my ongoing effort to use this opportunity and privilege that the people of Vernon have given me to serve as their mayor, to be one of those understanding hearts that listen. And I got one final comment. I am pleased to announce that after more than 8 years of standing guard in front of our municipal center, Samantha the bear has received a well-deserved beauty touch-up. Cracks in Samantha's body that had developed over the years have been sealed, and she received a completely new paint job from head to toe. For those of you who do not know, Samantha is the striking fiberglass bear structure that stands in front of the municipal center and is an immortalization of a real, very famous bear that lived in Wayway State Park in Vernon Township. This beautiful fiberglass structure was commissioned by the Bear Education and Resource, better known as the Bear Group, and built by Vernon artist Mr. Gary Adam Carbage, an artist with a national reputation for sculpture and animals. The Bear Group and Mr. Adam Carbage donated this sculpture of Samantha to our town in June of 2014. The real Samantha Bear is reported to have been born in Wayway State Park in 1981 and lived out her life there until February 2012. This gentle bear was loved by many humans who had the opportunity and delight to know her in her natural habitat. And she lived a life that was much more famous than the average bear. For example, the New York Times featured Samantha in a 1999 story on the bear hunt debate. And from 1995 through the year 2000, Samantha was the Bear Group's educational mascot. Her face donned the covers of the Bear Group's newsletter, lawn signs, and ads. Legend has it that Samantha is the inspiration for the bear that's on the patch of the uniforms worn by the Vernon police officers. Samantha's beautiful touch-up was donated to our town by the hard work, effort, and care and love of Vernon resident, Mrs. Beverly Buds, famous artist who sculptured her. On behalf of the residents of Vernon Township, I again offer them my big thanks. So these are my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's say that any bear that does not take my garbage is a superstar.
I think you were on the council when this bear was donated, am I correct?
May we have a motion to open the,
I'll make the motion. We open the floor to public comment.
is made,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It carries. If you have any comments for the council, agenda items only, please come forward and your comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone here wants to address the council? Okay. Do we have anybody in the skybox?
Yes. I have Jessica Palladini.
Mrs. Palladini. How may we help you?
I was going to address Mr. Tadrick and applaud him for raising the issues that he raised about the bill.
Bill's list, yes. Hello,
Hello.
Can you hear me?
now we can.
Did you hear what I said before?
Bills, and I said Bill's list, and I didn't hear any affirmation.
Okay, yes, I was gonna address what he said about the bills list and applaud him, and that was it. But then I was outraged by your attorney, Mr. Zelinski, once again giving you wrong information. And he has repeated this wrong information multiple times over the past 8 years. So Mr. Tadrick and Council President, I implore you to research this matter yourselves. That was not the court challenge that Sally Rinker took to court. And if you can't find the court order, I have it and I would be happy to give it to you. Never did the judge say that in this form of government, you cannot approve the bills list. You most certainly can approve the bills list. What the judge said is that you cannot compel the council to put the bills list on the agenda. It had nothing to do with whether or not you can approve it. So what he's telling you about this form of government is simply incorrect. And as I said, I'll be happy to provide you with the order should it not exist anywhere in the municipal center. But please, Mr. Tadrick, continue to pursue what you asked before, because the information you got is 100% incorrect. And yes, I agree that it should be more clear what those bills are for. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Ann Larson.
Mrs. Larson, how are you?
Evening. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I do. I also have to thank Mr. Tadrick for speaking up. This has been irritating me. Kudos to Jesse and to Mr. Tadrick for speaking on this issue. The bills list drives me stark raving mad month after week. Why is it that it's just a random assortment of checks? Why can't you click on the actual check and see the purchase orders and so forth? And I'm sorry, Danelle, but you know what? The rest of us don't trust government. We don't trust. We've been down this road before. The town was the victim of a crime. There's nothing wrong with the townspeople seeing the purchase order, who signed off for it, the receiving report, instead of trusting you to sit there and be asked one at a time, what is this bill? What is that bill? When perfectly capable adults can scan down there and read it for themselves without having the information concentrated and spoon fed to them. So thank you for your efforts to get to the bottom of the bills list. There are things on there that I see. I don't recall anybody voting on a $12,000 expense for Jessica Caldwell again for this redoing of the town center, et cetera. These are things that, if we had the information right there, you could cut down on 90% of these calls. So thank you again for trying to make things right for us. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't see any other hands up.
Seeing no other hands and no one coming forward, may I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion, Council President.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This evening, we have a few items for discussion. Each year, the council is required by the state to review best practices survey. And this survey is a result of the actions of the interaction of the various departments in the township and the council, and how the council handles it. So I believe, Mrs. Bright, you kind of
Completed this.
completed this and you kind of work with this and
Yes.
walked through. Perhaps you could give us some.
Sure. So like the council president said, the best practices inventory is sent out to every municipality in the state by the DCA. We're required to fill it out. Part of it is scored, some of it is not scored based on your scoring. Say that it could affect your state aid in the coming year. We far exceed what's required in the scoring amount and in the points. So we don't have any issues, but it addresses key issues like health benefits, personnel, tax collection, purchasing, shared services, financial administration. So we just answer these questions to the best of our ability. for this township. So I'm not sure if anyone has specific questions. New questions that come up every year. This year, the state brought up the new legislation about lead paint remediation. That was a big portion, like 5 or 6 questions on that. That was unscored, but just to see, I think, to gauge.
Okay. Council members have questions from Mrs. Brett? No? No? Thank you. And I frequently, hear when municipal officials go down to conventions. It's only for having a good time, but I've been there myself, both member of the education and also capacity of a councilman. We do attend classes, we do gain some information, but I thought perhaps one of the things that would be beneficial, but to have our town clerk give us some background and what happened during this last convention period. Marcy is a registered clerk, and she is also very responsible for having her immediate assistant meet the requirements so that she too is a registered clerk. And I think that is something that's very important because it provides us with a level of backup and also a level of service that many townships don't have. So perhaps you might want to, Mrs. Giantasio might want to tell us what took place down there.
Lauren and I went to the conference. We were there for all 3 days. And while we were there, we did have a little bit of fun, but we also did attend 11 seminars. We were at the convention center all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and half a day on Thursday. There were some not so interesting, but there were quite a few that we did learn a lot, and they were beneficial. So I wanted to bring it to the council's attention that we did go down there and work.
I believe, don't you get CEUs for?
Yes, we get CEUs for the classes we attend, not only for our registered municipal clerks license, but also for our vital statistic license. So we ended up with a lot of CEUs. We went to maybe two seminars that we really weren't too interested in, but they were at the right timing for the right CEUs that we might have needed. So yeah, I wanted to let you know.
Thank you very much.
It did work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything you think that you can implement or, something that might have opened your eyes to how you do something and maybe you might change or something?
Yeah, I mean, any Oprah seminar or webinar is always helpful. There's always new, not so much new rules, but new things that you hear depending on who's giving the seminar. Also, we took a couple OPMA seminars, Open Public Meeting Act,
Oh, okay.
and those are very beneficial for us, just because we're here all the time.
Yeah.
We did take one election, which was, there are new laws coming in 2023 for elections. Actually, the timeline is changing for when petitions have to be in, and so that was beneficial because there will be new laws in that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We were also planning on having an update on the Municipal Utilities Authority. Unfortunately, chairman of the committee has was taken ill. And so we're moving this to our next meeting. Mr. Bright is here as the municipal utilities director. But I thought it would be beneficial to have the chairman of the committee as well. Minutes. Members have received copies of the minutes, previous sessions, minutes for the meeting of executive session, October 13th, 2022. And I have a motion to approve the October 13th, 2022 executive session minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is anybody all in favor signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Staying.
Motion carries. Three. The meeting of October 13th, 2022, regular meeting, and I have a motion to
I'll
approve.
make that motion.
Made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Are there any questions or comments? Yes. May I have a motion made to roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch.
Yes.
Should I call Councilmember Tadrick? He wasn't at this meeting.
Staying, I wasn't there.
Oh, Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
and for the meeting of October 24th, regular meeting, may I have a motion to place it on the floor for consideration?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any questions or comments on that, on those minutes? Nope. May I have a roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The meeting of, special meeting on November 10th. 5 PM. May I have a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch to bring that forward. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Are there any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri.
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
For the minutes of the special meeting for November 10th, may I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Are there any questions or comments on this?
No.
Or revisions? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri.
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch.
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And for the special meeting of November 10, 2022. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch, to bring that forward. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Are there any comments or questions or revisions? Hearing none, I'll go for a roll call.
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch.
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Moving to our consent agenda. Authorizing contracts with certain. If you have any, before I move on these, if you have any requests to have them separated from your,
I do.
okay,
Request to have 22 tax 76,
22,
277 separated.
separate.
Can you please separate 22-268, please?
I'm sorry, Mr. Tadrick, 22,
77.
77, okay. Mr. Lynch?
Yes. I'm sorry, 22-268. I can't vote on that.
22, 268, separate, okay. Everything else? Okay. Resolutions 22-269, a resolution of the Township of Vernon, the County of Sussex, New Jersey, directing the Township Land Use Board to review an amendment to the Town Center redevelopment plan pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law. Resolution 22-270, refund of overpayment, multiple block and lots, Core Logic. Resolution 22-271, a refund overpayment, block 46, lot 5, Title Vest Agencies LLC. Resolution 22-272, refund overpayment, block 527, lot 286, Builders Title Agency. Resolution 22-273, refund overpayment, block 512, lot 125A, Absolute Escrow Settlement Company Incorporated. Resolution 22-274, refund overpayment, block 470, lot 18, Title on Demand Settlement Services. Lot 22-278, resolution authorizing fireworks to be displayed on December 31st, 2022 within the Township of Vernon. Did I
Yeah, you skipped 270.
Did I miss that? I am sorry. Resolution authorizing an agreement between Township of Vernon and UAW Local 2326 for 21-24. I hope there are not too many of those guys here because I'm being big
Yeah, you're getting the stink eye right
right
now.
now. Wasn't done on purpose, fella. Resolution 22-279, transfer resolution, balance transfers. Resolution 22-280, resolution authorizing the execution of shared services agreement between the Township of Vernon and the Township of Hardiston for animal control services. Resolution 22-281, resolution authorizing the execution of shared services agreement between Township of Vernon and the Borough of Hamburg for animal control services. Resolution 22-282, resolution authorizing a sidebar agreement between Township of Vernon and AFSCME Local 3181 Rank and File Unit. Resolution 22-284, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, awarding bid number 10-2022, pump station number 2, replacement to Capola Services. May I have a motion to place these on the floor?
I'll make that motion, Council President.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Are there any questions on any of these?
I have a comment.
Certainly,
Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
certainly.
That's all I have.
And you're wearing green. That's the color,
Perfect color, actually,
color of truth.
and Irish.
Thank you. Maybe.
And he got them cheap. That's why they got the insurance.
Especially with the blue on it.
Yeah, looks good.
Maybe a roll call, please.
Sure. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes,
Council President Lucido.
Yes. For the resolutions that have been separated, we'll move to resolution 22-268. Resolution authorizing contracts with certain and approved state contract vendors, AAA Emergency Supply Company, Inc., for the purchase of volunteer fire department gear. May I have a motion to have this placed on the floor?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a seconded by Mr. Patrick? Do we have any comments on this? No. Okay, may we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
I abstain.
Councilmember Tadrick,
yes,
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 22-276, canceling taxes for a total disabled veteran, block 355, lot 10, Tadrick. May I have a motion to place this on the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
I'll second this.
Seconded by Mr. Lynch. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
Motion carries. Resolution 22-277, a refund for totally disabled veteran, block 355, lot 10, Tadrick. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Lynch. Roll call, please.
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Abstain.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Introduction of an ordinance. Ordinance 22-24, ordinance approving town center redevelopment plan amendment to add block 391, lot 11 to the town center LI overlay zone to permit outdoor storage with buffering in the town center
Yes.
town center. Buffer. May I have a motion?
Aye.
TCI, thank you.
I'll make that motion, Council President.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. May I have a roll call vote, please? It's first
We
introduction.
don't talk about it.
Right.
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
public hearing. Second reading of ordinance 22-23, an ordinance of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 509, Article 2, entitled Cannabis Tax to dedicate cannabis transfer tax proceeds for the repair and maintenance of township roadways. Do I have a motion to bring this forward?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch.
Second.
Thank you. May I have a motion to have this open to the public?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mrs.
I'll
Bucieri,
second that.
seconded by Mr. Lynch. Is all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. If anybody would like to speak to this matter? Please come forward. Seeing no one coming forward, I'll move to,
We're online.
Anybody on top?
No,
is there anybody online? Thank you.
I don't have any hands up.
Okay, thanks.
May I have a motion to close the public hearing for 22-23?
I'll make,
the motion.
I'll
Motion
second
made by
it.
Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. May I have a motion to adopt 22-23?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Tadrick. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Well, I don't support the any cannabis businesses, but if we are going to get the tax dollars, I do support those going to the roads.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Or Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comments, may I have a motion to open the
I'll
floor?
make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch.
Before we get started, can I say something, Council President?
Certainly.
Thank you for having that on. I know it rears some ugly thoughts of what we've all grown up to know that the cannabis is illegal and it shouldn't be done. But if it's gonna be in this town and we are generating tax dollars, I'd like to take full advantage and make sure that the roads are taken care of at least one thing. And I appreciate you supporting that, and I know that it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't. And the reason being, my feelings are not because we are iconic, you know, or, dinosaurs.
No, I wouldn't think.
But I really think that if you look at a lot of the literature, much of it coming forward now shows that there are problems with repeated use of hallucinogenics, and I consider it hallucinogenic. And so, but the only reason I went on this is because, you know, our newest council member was away. He was not able to change his time, and I just didn't think it would be fair. Want to call it that for us to take advantage of his absence, because at this point, then we would have had to have we did the whole thing, and nobody chose to table it. So that's where we are. So thank you. Thank you for bringing your comments, Mr. Lynch. I have a motion to open the floor to the public,
I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second it.
seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Is there anybody here? Comments? Limited to 5 minutes on any topic. Please come forward. Please come forward.
Come here and then you'll sign in,
Right here.
Ken.
Just put your name.
Okay, good.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, my name's Ken Marsh. I own the Lake Wanda store up in Highland Lakes. It's right on the corner of Canastore, Breakneck, Wawayanda, right on Lake Wanda. I grew up there. My father bought the store in 1969. I was 8 months old, so I grew up there on the lake, be able to fish right out of my backyard. Just sell bait and tackle, still sell a bunch of other stuff. In 2000, year 2000, you guys probably know, Lake and Sparta washed out part of Glen Road, and at that time, the state DEP went around and focused on all the dams on all the private lakes in the state of New Jersey. Highland Lakes has a true HOA. They have membership. They were able to act as their own fiduciary. They got the state loan. They just handed out a bill to their members, and they repaired all 5 of their dams, or 5, 6, however many there are, but they were able to take care of that. In Barry Lakes, same thing. There's an HOA. They were prepared. They had some money put aside to repair their dams. With the town's help, the town acts as the fiduciary, I think, to this day. They send out another bill. Just looks just like your tax statement. It's just a dam assessment. So Barry Lakes was able to take care of their, proactively take care of their dams. In September of last year, hurricane that came, Hurricane Ida, right? Dumped so much water in a short period of time that the both spillways in Highland Lakes were going full tilt. And from what I understand, the level of the lake in Highland Lakes was still rising. Had to open their valve on their dam as well. And that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. Back in 2011, the DEP came to Dennis Schwartz, who owned the Lake Wanda at the time, and said, Dennis, you have to fix your dam. Dennis said, I can't afford to fix my dam. They said, well, we're going to drain the lake. He said, go ahead and drain the lake. At that time, a bunch of interested individuals got together and bought the lake from Mr. Schwartz. At that time, the estimate for repairing the dam was only about $330,000. That was a number the community could sort of wrap their mind around. There are 279 property owners in Lake Wanda. At the high water mark, pardon the pun, we had, I think, 65 people of those 279 were willing to join the LWPOA. And for a short number of years, there was a board, there was insurance, there was an interested membership that was going to fix the dam. They got some engineering plans made and the cost of fixing the dam went up to over $900,000. And at that point, everyone sort of ran screaming. The board threw up their hands. The LWPOA ceased to exist. Currently, there are 4 lots that are owned by the LWPOA, that are in the name of the LWPOA, the Lake Wanda Property Owners Association, which are the lake, the dam, the beach, and there's an island out there. There have been no taxes collected by the town on those lots since about the year 2012, 2011, or in the history, I don't think, of the LWPOA, because there's no membership to send, there's no board anymore to send out invoices. The LWPOA is in arrears to the tune of over $205,000 right now to the town for back taxes, fees, fines, all of that stuff. We here gathered are what we are calling ourselves now the Friends of Lake Wanda. You may have seen the signs by the side of the road, the Save Lake Wanda signs. We're trying to raise some money from private means to get the ball rolling again. In last year, we became aware around this time of year that there were going to be dam funds from the state allotted again. We didn't have time to get our act together at that point. We only had a month. And we just could not get an application for state funding. There is another round of state funding coming in 2023 that we would like to be able to get our hands on some of that to get our dam fixed. And we would ask the town anything that they can do to help us in this, to get behind us. Right now, yes, the pictures show the lake after Ida is down over the summer. 5 to 6. Can we show you some pictures?
Go ahead, please.
So this is the lake before. And before. And now here. After. Okay. When Ida came and washed out the spillway. We lost about 4 feet of water in the lake. Don't know how many fish went over the dam with that. It would be no threat to life or property if the dam totally breached. Back in 2011, the DP got around, they focused their attention on us. They made us put a breach in the dam at that point, which weakened the dam. But it lowered the pool level to a point. And at that point, I think there may have been some work done after the DEP left to bring the level back up to an acceptable level for the lakefront, Mr. Mayor. But all of that washed out. All right. With Ida. And the flood went down into Wawayanda. The Parks Commissioner became aware of it because there was some flooding by the campgrounds in Wawayanda. And they came upstream. The town sent a truck and a machine, stabilized the spillway at a level which was much lower than the lake has ever been. And now it's in a state, it's sat like this all summer. Lakefront homes, docks are no longer floating. People who own these homes are no longer lakefront homes. They are, basically living on a swamp.
One of the other major things that's going on is the lake is so low that we can't draft water if there's a fire back there.
Firehouse is right across the street. It was traditionally a draft site for them and
Okay,
closest place for them to draw water.
I understand your situation. But we're well beyond the 5 minutes and I've chosen to give you, extra time.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate your concerns. However, we run into a problem because in terms of what we can do, we must have recognition of a property owners association. I don't think the Friends of Lake Wanda qualify for that. Am I correct?
I have to look at it.
That's my
That would be
understanding.
based on the grant, correct?
No, they do not. They're not organized. And they understand. You're right.
Yeah, so, you know, if you were to manage to put together a property owners association, then perhaps we can work with you to
We have,
provide some support in any way we can.
we have heard this from the town for many years now.
Yeah.
Our attempts last December, when we found out about the loan,
Mhm.
becoming available again. Again, the most people we got to get at the firehouse or, for a meeting together was maybe 50, 60 people. And some of those were staunchly against ever paying. So, unless you want a part of the town to basically atrophy, you've got these lakefront homes that are no longer lakefront. Property values are no longer, I mean, I'll stop my 5 minutes. Anybody want to?
I'm not gonna go into the
But-
value, except for that. There are two homes in the process of being redone right now. And the amount of money that you will get in taxes once they live on a swamp rather than a lake that is viable, will be less. And I would think, and Liz Gates, by the way, 21 Lake Street. My husband and I bought for about 14 years ago now, and we bought on a lake that was quite viable. We were kayaking every day when we were up here, enjoying the hiking in the area. Vernon is a beautiful township, lots of beautiful lakes. It would be beneficial, not only for us owning a home on the lakefront, but for the whole town to have every lake in the township a viable lake. Because we had in front of our property, a dock that is 10 foot. Okay, that dock was on ground, all 10 foot of it, and probably 2 foot in front of that. So our coastline, what you would consider, was at least 10 to 12 feet out of its norm. Now, I understand that and I know we only have 3 minutes, that there was money for Ida available. And the town knew that the lake was the dam, the spillway had become breached. I know that you all were probably made aware of it. Our taxes went up the last 2 years a good bit. I mean, I was shocked. I even called the tax assessor and said, "You're kidding." And of course, they're not. So my question to you is, I'm paying more taxes to live on a swamp. No one has offered up help to us at all. The LWPOA did kind of disintegrate, I guess, not long after my husband and I purchased the home. I understand that we need an LWPOA, and we are happy to do that, but I don't want to feel like we're being dismissed because we don't have an LWPOA. I would like for you as the board and whomever else in the town, I understand that you have an environmental protection. I'm not going to say agency, but maybe we could sit with you all and you all could help us to make this a viable lake again. It would be beneficial not only for us who own on the lake, but those of us who live off the lake. We do have members of Friends of Lake Wanda who live off the lake and would like to see the lake go back to what it was. There are people who have lived here for their lives. And want a viable lake. They don't want to be living around a swamp, and the mosquitoes were unbelievable this past summer. So, you know, that's going to affect Highland Lake too. I mean, it's not just those of us on the lake. When people drive through, if they drive up Canisteo Road, they see lots of nice lakes. They come to Lake Wanda and it's a little swamp, and they're now thinking, well, Vernon isn't at the top of this hill, is not the nicest place. You know, so give some consideration to meeting with us.
Let me,
We have a 9-member board, and we started because we didn't want to take on the debt of the Lake Wanda Properties Association without speaking with you first.
you're talking you have a 9-member board for the
Friends of Lake Wanda, that's right. And we are registered with the state of New Jersey as a nonprofit. And we will take that forward and we will do what it is that we need to do, but we'd like to work with the township in order to get this done. Because I'm understanding history saying that this will never get done. And the way it looks, if you go back and take a look at the history, it won't ever get done unless you all work with us. And there are many new homeowners from the years ago when a $373,000, $77 loan went with approval for one engineering company to do the work, somehow or another changed to a $970,000 job at another company. So in the mix of that, the history, we can't find out even why in any of the paperwork we have that would have happened. But that would have translated to from a $100 a year commitment per household in Lake Wanda community to a $300 commitment. That's a lot of money. You know, when you're living in a middle-class home area, and I'm not talking now, I'm talking, 20, 15 years ago. So, we are willing to work with you all if you would be willing to work with us.
Thing is too, if we were able to get the lake fixed, if we were able to get the dam fixed and have a lake, there are enough people, even just in the Friends of Lake Wanda, going forward to pay the taxes on at least the lake and the beach. The total per year on the taxes is not a large amount of money. The people here in this room, and there are more of us.
There's about 40.
There's about 40 of us all together. We could collect dues among ourselves enough to pay for the taxes on the lots that were owned by the LWPOA. And there would also be enough left over to treat the lake for weeds and stuff going forward. So if the town could work with us on the back taxes that were owed by the old association, going forward, if we can have a viable lake, we'll have enough of a membership to pay the taxes on the lake going forward and to maintain it. We wouldn't ask, any help from the town to maintain it as far as, the upkeep of the weeds and treating it.
We've kind of been doing that.
We've been doing it for the past 12, 15 years. A couple of us have been collecting checks and paying Aquatic Technologies to come and keep the weeds down in the lake. We have enough to do that. We probably would have enough to pay the taxes going forward. But if we could get the town to wave a magic wand and assess every 279 of those property owners, and not just the 40 that are lakefront, then there would probably be enough for you guys to send out a bill to the Lake Wanda residents, where you send out a bill to the Barry Lakes residents. Enough sufficient to pay back the loan.
I don't know if we have the authority to do something like that. My understanding.
I don't know either.
My understanding is that we deal with lake, property owners associations. And you need that imprimatur of a title to deal with the state
Highland Lakes,
Vacation.
Highland Lakes residents always had it in their deed that they're required to pay. They know that coming in. Barry Lake, same thing. You know coming in that you're gonna be required to pay dues. People bought in Lake Wanda because there weren't any dues. Is in very few, and we don't even know who they are, but it's in a few people's deeds that they have to pay dues to the lake. But it's the minority of those 279 properties. Is it in their deed that they're
I just don't know if
held to pay?
they're-
It happened.
have
at Lake
legal
Conway.
right to be able to do that.
At one point, Lake Conway made it happen.
Yeah, they brought their people together.
Yeah.
They managed to have a big push and they got a number of people who were willing to agree to it. And I think they had a vote and went ahead and did it. And I know that when I was on the council earlier, we had a problem with the ownership and also repair of the dam. And we did what we would normally do. We backstopped it, but the responsibility for collection of funds and payment came directly from the Property Owners Association.
Now, there is precedent in the county for a town taking over a lake in Sussex, Lake Neapolitan.
Yeah.
Now, Lake Neapolitan, they didn't just assess the owners in Lake Neapolitan, Sussex assessed the entire borough and collected taxes enough
I don't know
to pay for.
your,
That was a long, hard fight.
I know it.
And a
But
very,
I don't know if we're ready to take on a fight like that to, assess the entire township to pay for the repairs on Lake Wanda.
so Highland Lakes, Ray Zimmerman from Highland Lakes approached me a couple of weeks ago. There are going to be some funds made available for from watershed funds.
Okay,
And so Highland Lakes has formed a watershed committee. And they asked me to come and sit with them at the meeting. I haven't heard from them yet about it. I plan on being there. There's about a $500,000 grant that they're trying to get their hands on. And Ray said to me that he would be able to help us because basically the Wallkill watershed, one of the headwaters is Highland Lakes drains into Lake Wanda, drains into Wawayanda, and eventually goes into the Wallkill River.
right.
And if we could get a hold of some of that money, he threw out a number of $100,000, that would at least pay for engineering and a little bit of a down payment towards that. But we don't need, see, this is the thing, we would like to get the book rolling and apply for funds. We know that it would take backing from the town. We do not, and we can hope, but we know that we're not going to get 279 people to agree to join an HOA. And so we're trying to find another way to make it happen, because otherwise this lake is just going to further atrophy and die, and these
I understand.
homes and values are going to plummet,
I understand.
and that's less taxes for you. You're going to have everybody on the lake, asking to be reassessed on their taxes. And this is just going to be a part of the town that it's either an upward spiral or it's a downward spiral. And, we're just trying to find a solution that's going to,
Yeah, and Friends of Lake Wanda was one of those solutions.
Yeah.
And we did register with the state specifically for that reason.
But I don't know if the registration carries the weight of a property owners association.
If it would need to be, we don't want to take the full responsibility of taxes owed to the town that are already on the books. That is one of the reasons that we created the Friends of Lake Wanda.
Yeah.
In order to forego that, to see what kind of buy-in we can get from the people in Lake Wanda, the community members of Lake Wanda, as well as the town helping us.
I think if you spoke to the people of Lake Wanda and stressed to them the importance of coming together as an association.
Well, and we have, and on a little bit at a time, we have gotten those neighbors. There have been other neighbors that have come aboard that come to the different meetings that we've had, and we certainly are going to go out, and go public with this, but we would like some guidance from the town as well. And we do want to sit down and talk to the town about the taxes that would be owed on the property before we make a commitment to become Lake Wanda Property Association again. And the town says, you know, you owe us $230,000 or whatever that number is.
So,
Want to take on that responsibility at this point.
so it sounds like you're asking for two things. If I hear you right.
Uh-huh.
One is to some kind of funding to help you get funding to fix the dam.
Exactly.
Number one. And number two, some kind of tax abatement. So when you fix it and it's back up, those 4 or 5 properties that are owned by the association, which no longer exist,
Absolutely.
you're not gonna get stuck with a 200,000 or whatever bill.
Exactly. And the one spillway, because of Ida, okay, that water just rushed through. I mean, it came up onto our patio that's on the lake, and it was up probably about a foot onto our patio and then washed away and then gone. That patio is now, was 12 foot away from the patio.
And the repairs that were done to the spillway on that day after Ida passed through were very hastily done. It was a couple hour operation in the
Yes.
afternoon with a truck and a machine. And they were imperfect repairs that were done, and I think a hasty assessment by John Kane from the DEP, who was there at the time, to say, okay, this is where we want it left.
Even where it was that day was 2 foot higher or 3 foot higher than it is right now.
Than it was all summer long.
So prioritize your needs. First, it's a funding. If
Yeah, we do need,
you don't fix it,
yes.
doesn't matter.
Right. And the funds, first you need the engineering.
Right.
And then you can bid the job, and then you know how much you need
Have
to
you
apply for a loan.
dealt with FEMA, for example, flood relief, SBAs, those people?
We've had no.
Those are access to.
Haven't, and that's one of the reasons why I mentioned Ida and funds from the federal
would
government
be
for
FEMA.
Ida, because that would have to, FEMA would,
FEMA.
but that would come from Vernon. That money wouldn't
Well, here's the problem.
us directly, that
Here's
would
the problem.
come through Vernon.
And we as
I know a little bit about,
As a
grants.
Like Wanda,
and here's the thing about grants. The reason you need some kind of organization
Uh-huh,
is they're not going to give it to you as a private homeowner
right,
to fix the lake.
right,
So it's got to be an association that the money goes to fix the lake.
okay,
So until you do that,
okay,
you're stuck.
okay.
I mean, I don't think anybody's going to give you money because they're going to say, well, we got a bunch of homeowners here and you're going to have 30 people sign for the loan.
and what do you need for a quorum? I mean, what do you need? How many names have to be on?
What we're talking about, what he's talking about is the fact that you're going to have to find a way to create a homeowners association. And the fact that you have,
Does it need to be called a homeowners association?
Well, I mean, Friends of Lake Wanda cannot be the homeowners association.
I think you have to have a certain percentage of
commitment by the
commitment
people.
by the people that are live in that community that have, and then the deeds would be changed, I think.
That isn't necessary. I wouldn't think that deeds need to be changed in order. That
Well,
would
see-
be if the town were going to.
Now, in order to join the lake, I think Josh could probably talk about.
No, I think what you need to do you guys have a lawyer?
We do not.
I think you need to get a lawyer. I don't think any of us should be giving you legal advice on
Right.
how to structure a lake association or not structure a lake association. In the meantime, I'd suggest you reach out to Senator Oroho with respect to
We did.
that may be available.
Anything from him.
Okay.
Okay.
He's usually pretty responsive and helpful. I also would reach out to Donnell, the CFO, who has some experience working with dams in the municipality.
What was that name?
Right.
Me,
That would be you?
Donnell Bright, yes.
Don Albright, yes, okay. Liz Gates, Ken Marsh,
Hi.
our group. We would love to meet
That's
with
fine.
you.
So is that a good start? At least got a good start.
Thank you for hearing us.
Yeah.
Well,
No problem.
And we look forward to working with you all,
thank you.
Thank you.
okay?
And this is. And Julie, everybody, you still, anytime you need the firehouse, just let me know.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have bigger and bigger groups going forward.
I was hoping that one or two of you would join the fire department, no?
Thank you. Is there any other people wishing to address the council?
Oh.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Dunn.
Bill Estates. I was hesitant to come before the council tonight, but I think there's some things that need to be said. I have been quite critical of our mayor over the last year. No surprise about that. I'm happy to see the council that has been seated. I think it's going to be a less adversarial situation than we've had over the last 11 months. I hope the mayor will be able to find it in his heart to work in a more conciliatory manner than he has in the last 11 months. I called our mayor a liar. And I pointed out specifically the lies that he's told. And I've called him out on several things, and there's never been a rebuttal. Maybe he feels that that's the more professional thing to do. I know we had a real mess with this Mondam property. I know it's been resolved. It's behind us, and people can say, well, that's in the past. But it's just about a week in the past. I know our BA is gone. But after seeing the contract that was signed by our mayor, giving our business administrator 105 sick days a year, leads me to believe that possibly our mayor doesn't have the mental capacity to run this town. I know under our form of government, there's very little that you can do. The mayor's driving the bus. The mayor knows he's driving the bus. The mayor has ignored resolutions that you guys have voted on. I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know what the mayor intends to do going forward. I'm not sure he has the capacity to run this town, even in the short term. I am concerned what's going to happen over the short term. I know there is the opportunity through state agency or through employment agency to find a proper trained business administrator that has municipal government experience. Not a former police chief with no experience. I think that's the problem we faced, and it's nobody up there's responsibility because none of you were here. But these are the cards you've been dealt. And I don't know what you can do as far as looking at other employees' contracts. I can't imagine he's the only one. But I think you should all find it very troubling. I know our township clerk signed the agreement, but I think she signed as a witness. She's surely not responsible for employment matters. But our mayor put his name to a contract that gave our business administrator 105 sick days a year. That's 21 weeks. To me, it's gross incompetence, and I don't know what you can do. But I think going forward, I hope people have their eyes open and do what they can to bring the situation under control, because it has not been for at least the last 11 months, and maybe even the last 6 years. And I say this with all humility, and it's not really to embarrass anyone, but we have a problem in this town. And I know you guys are aware of it, and I hope that you fix it. And I would implore the mayor to not feel compelled to stick his thumb in the eye of the council at every meeting, because he's done that at pretty much every meeting since January 1st of 2022. So I hope he'll find it in his heart to be a little more conciliatory and to find a way to work with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Skybox.
Do we have anything?
I have Sean Mazar.
Mr. Mazar?
Good
Mr.
evening.
Mazar?
You hear me?
Yes?
Good evening. I'm calling tonight about a letter that I received from O'Toole and Scrivo from Joshua Zielinski, the attorney. about an unlawful drainage ditch. Is the council aware of this letter?
I don't believe so.
I believe they are, Mr. Mazer. I believe it was forwarded to them, and I also believe you met with the engineer after you received my letter.
That's not correct. I have not met with the engineer. I had a phone conversation with the engineer, Corey Stoner, and I'm supposed to meet with him, but he had never scheduled a meeting.
And that was after you received the letter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The couple issues here we have with Margaret Lane. First of all, Mr. Zelinski, did you do any research on Margaret Lane?
Mr. Mazer, this isn't a question and answer. If you would like to call me on the phone, you can do so.
Well, it's clear that you didn't, because number one, you would have realized that it's a private road owned by a homeowners association called the Margaret Lane Homeowners Association. In addition, we have a shared well which exists on the cul-de-sac of that road, and the water lines run underneath the road to 5 different homes. The road does not meet any of the criteria the township would require it for it to be adopted as a township road. So your letter here is actually quite harassing. In speaking with Mr. Stoner, I basically reiterated to him, as a registered architect who actually is licensed to do planning and grading and swales and riprap, etc. Unlike you, which you're basically stating that, I don't know where you're coming up with this statement from. I mean, Ed Babcock may work for the township, but he's not an engineer. Anytime that you have a steep slope, riprap is exactly what the township and the county uses to stabilize a steep slope. That area is not going to undermine. And if you're so concerned about it, why don't you ride up Margaret Lane and look at the other adjacent properties, and you'll see that there's built structures in the right of way. There's washout all over the road, except for my area. And the riprap that I put alongside of the road there actually stopped the drainage culvert from getting clogged. And it's not going to undermine anything. It's a private road. 9 months ago, someone put a stop work order sign, and I hadn't heard a single thing from them after that. Now, I have open construction permits, and I was under the impression you're trying to stop the work on my structure. Mr. Zelinski, you and I have had some run-ins before. You taunted me for the last 3 years about the vacant abandoned property bill. And I have a funny feeling that you're doing this in retaliation because you were blatantly wrong in your assumption that it was a valid ordinance. And I honestly think that this is nothing more than harassment. Mr. Stoner has never reached out to me again. I'm more than welcome to meet with him and talk about this and see what's occurred there. But the funny part is the road is the rest of the road is destroyed. And it's not the riprap that's done it. That's actually all the neighbors are asking me if I could do it put that on the side of their road, up and down. So I really don't understand, first of all, did they pay you to write this letter? I mean, there's nothing in the township that I can see any permits to put a swale on the side of a private road that's not owned by the township. I've called the DEP. They said that there's really nothing, unless you're doing a big development, there's no permits for this. So it's on private property. I really think you need to resign. You're consistently wrong. You lead this council down the wrong path. Mrs. Palladini just proved you wrong again tonight. How many times are we going to pay you to be wrong? You're arrogant, you're rude, and you're wrong. And you're not an engineer and you're not an architect. So your whole letter is moot. Has no bearing. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. I believe you. The initials after your name are Esquire, not PE or not RA, which is professional engineer or architect. You're doing this out of spite because you were proven wrong about the vacant and abandoned property ordinance. And you taunted me until the last dire minute, until the prosecutor dismissed it.
Is there anything else, mister?
How many lawsuits are coming in naming you?
Mr. Mazer, is there
Yes.
anything else? Your time has expired.
I want you guys to take that stop work order sign off of my private property. We are a homeowners association that is a private road owned by the homeowners association. It does not meet any of the criteria of a township road. And if it does, provide me with when the township adopted it. And then give me an explanation of how come the township doesn't maintain it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Jessica Palladini.
Mrs. Palladini.
I just find situations like the one Sean just explained so sad. Such a black eye for our town. I just want to agree with Steve Dunlap that 105 sick days is an outrage, but I'm going to go a little bit farther than he did. And I'm going to say that everyone who read or signed that contract is responsible. There were so many errors in the resolutions this council adopts, so many. None of them are caught and they are voted on regardless. There are so many errors in our council meeting minutes. I'll be happy to show them to you. I don't think anyone is reading any of this, but that's not what I want to say. What I want to say first and foremost is that I forgot to congratulate Joe Tadrick on being on the council and welcome him to the council. I am very confident that he is going to be a shining light to that council, for a lack of better words, because he is smart and he does know what he's doing. This is why I am commenting. Ever since I was a journalist, an investigative journalist many years ago, for 20 years, I have gotten dozens and dozens and dozens of letters from Vernon Township residents asking me to help them, and I have helped in any way I ever could. I received a letter this week from an elderly woman, and quite frankly, this letter makes me cry. I showed it to my husband, and she asked me if I could give her assistance in working with a situation that she needs to deal with the township. And I asked my husband if I should call the woman. And quite frankly, he said, no, don't get involved, Jesse. And I said to him, but this is what I do. I help people who don't know how to help themselves, because I know what this town is like. This woman is 77 years old and she lives alone. And she has been dealing with a nightmare for 3 years now. I spoke with her at length today, and I wrote down every single thing she said to me. I'm not going to divulge her name tonight, but I am going to make some phone calls tomorrow to people in our town to see if I can't get some help for this woman. But she told me that she wrote 2 letters to Mayor Brell about her problem, and she never heard from him. She spoke to Chuck Volker about it, and she never heard from him. No one has helped her. Now, she was of the misunderstanding that she had to go to the mayor and the business administrator for help. And I told her frankly this afternoon, well, there's your problem right there. They're the last people on earth you would ever go to, because they would never help you. You won't even get a response from them. That's all I'm going to say about it right now, but I am going to implore you to please help this senior citizen who lives alone, who has reached out for help to our mayor and business administrator for 3 years today. I'm proud to help citizens like this because they don't know what else to do. So I'm going to reach out to those individuals that I believe are responsible for helping her. And I'm going to ask you as the council to care. You didn't care about Walter Marsico's dilemma. You didn't care about Sean Mazur's constant harassment.
Thank you. Jesse, your time is.
Can I have a
is
few more
expired.
seconds?
Okay,
Thank you. And I'm just gonna say, please, please help this woman. And as far as Lake Wanda is concerned, I know they got 30 minutes of time tonight, and I'm glad that they did, because you need to be hearing from people like them. And I'm also gonna say, please help Lake Wanda. They are a legitimate nonprofit now, and I think your advice to them was correct, that they should form a homeowners association. But please, please help those people. Thank
thank you
you.
thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, I have Ann Larson.
Mrs. Larson? Mrs. Larson? Mrs. Larson?
There we go. Yeah, the unmute wasn't happening. The button just popped up. Sorry about that delay.
No
So
problem.
just a couple of things, if I may. I also wanted to thank Mr. Dunlop for what he said. He does echo my thoughts. I can't imagine anyone who looked at a contract with 105 sick days on it and thought that that was a legitimate contract, that this working class town should be offering employees. It's insane. It's just insane. It is either ineptness or I mean, I can't imagine a legitimate purpose for 105 sick days. That said, that's 44% of the work days of a year entitled to sick days, and plus vacation time and personal development and a free cell phone. This is nuts. This is absolutely insane. So on that matter, when we also saw his resume, it was shocking to see that one of his credentials was that he was an established grant writer. And it's just funny that, you know, we have this situation, these people from Lake Wanda needing help. Wouldn't a grant writer have been of use to try to obtain some of these grants, you know, that apparently are out there? So I implore you, when you do start the hiring process, please, if there is someone with grant writing ability that you choose to hire, let's make them a portion, a part of their time to it, and see what free money we can get in this town. There are an awful lot of things coming down the pipe that we are supposedly going to have to do to comply with the law. Seems like a waste of money to me, but let's waste their money instead of our money, for starters. You mentioned that, excuse me, Mr. Zelinski mentioned that the Lake Wanda people should go speak to Steve Oraho. I don't know why we're giving Josh Gottheimer a pass. The man comes to to an office in our town. Every time he comes here for a photo op, at the very least, we should be asking him for assistance for not only Lake Wanda, assistance for the MUA. He claims to be the one that reaches across the island, the problem solver caucus. Let him do some solving of problems in Vernon Township. Every time he shows his face here, we should be asking him for help. And we shouldn't stop asking Cory Booker and Menendez at the same time. These people also represent a part of our state, like it or not. They owe us the help that we deserve as well. So pretty much that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mrs. Larson. Is there anyone else?
I don't have any other hands up.
Okay. I can't see any waving hands from here, only,
See any? No.
only our clerk can. So seeing no one else coming forward,
I'll make that motion that we close public comment.
motion made by Mr. Lynch to close public comment. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Council comments? Mr. Tadrick,
Nothing for me,
nothing for you.
nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
I have a couple of things.
Certainly.
Mr. Mayor, I've been approached by a couple of citizens and one of them was at the league meeting. And he was bringing up broadband grants.
Mhm.
Every time I go on Facebook, I see people complaining that their internet is out.
Mhm.
Are we taking advantage of any of these broadband grants?
Everyone we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because it's a question that occupies everybody in Vernon.
No.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is that, I really was taken by your offer to have quiet sensory for children who are on the spectrum.
Mhm.
And I have to say that's quite a feat. Thank you for doing that. That really says that we are neighbors.
Mhm.
The other thing that I would like,
EAL should get a lot of credit for that.
whoever was responsible for making that happen,
Yeah.
it was a good thing because, people on the spectrum are human beings too, and
Yeah.
they need interaction.
I agree.
It's the time of the end of the year and we're going through budgets. I really want to see extra money put in without raising our taxes any further. Some repaving because the roads are starting to take a beating in the town. And I see over in New York City, somebody was planting Christmas trees inside the potholes. So I don't want that to start happening in Vernon. The road department will have to go out with a chainsaw to fill a pothole.
I want to see you guys planting an age.
They're all laughing as if they're gonna do it, but, and finally, I'd like to say thank you to Marcy and Lauren for going down to the league and coming back with that information that they need to do their job, and they do it so well. I'd like to say thank you. And other than that, congratulations, Joe Tadrick, on your appointment, and thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
I just have a few words. I kid with our employees in the DPW. I know a number of them, some I don't, but I do know the job you do. I know that you're the guys that go out when it's really cold and everybody else is trying to get out. You're already there cleaning the roads and I'm sure you're not looking forward to it this year. So hopefully the snow will be less this year and we'll be able to save a little bit of money on the what's been dedicated for snow removal and ice removal. And so we'll see what happens there. But I want to tell you that the community does appreciate your work. And I only hope that the time that you're given to take care of the work that you've been assigned to is given to you and that you're not derailed by going into other areas, which you probably don't even need to. So thank you so much for your time and your effort. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. So
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Tadrick.
We're done.
And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Hey, Vinny, you going out to plow this year?
No.
Yeah. You're a faker.
It's so late. That letter's like 2